Ready? Greetings, everyone. My name is Bob Jaskiewicz. I'm with 12.5 Capital. And Andrew asked me to come out and speak a little bit about how to price your product or service. And so that's what I hope to do today. Also from 12.5, I would like to introduce Liz Whitten. Liz is sitting in the back of the room over there. She's our CFO for 12.5 Capital. We're an alternative lender, just so you know that. So at the end of this presentation, if any of you need some money to help fund your products, let me know. But let me say congratulations, first of all, because you made a major decision to become an entrepreneur. And that's not an easy decision to make. People have a hard time leaving a traditional job to basically say, I'm going to do this on my own. And what does that mean? That means that you're impacting your income, you're impacting your family, you're impacting your employees if you have all those people. Because if you don't succeed, a lot of people get hurt by that decision. And so we want to make sure that you get started on the right foot to start your business, or if you're have an ongoing business, you can double check and make sure that those things are going well for you and you're on the right path. I need the time to meet everybody and find out what they do. Excuse my voice, I have a bad cold today and I apologize for that. But I have something on the board here. I want everybody to give me their name, their business name, in 10 words. I don't want an elevator speech. I don't want a long drawn out thing because we don't have a lot of time. In 10 words, you should be able to tell me what your business does. Okay, 10 words or less. And a perfect example is, my name is Bob Jaskiewicz. Our business is 12.5 Capital. We give away money to small businesses. Very easy. Okay. Then how are you different from your competition? Very quickly tell me, why did you become an entrepreneur and why do you think you can succeed? Because I don't care what business you're in, there's always competition. Okay. And then describe yourself with one word. With one word. So how are we different from our competition? Because most of our competition, we're an alternative lender, and they think of themselves as the lender of last resort. 12.5 always believes that they are a lender of first resort. And we are there to help you grow and survive and be able to accomplish your dreams through our working capital funding. Okay, describe yourself in one word. I'm caring. That's the word I use, caring. Okay, so do we want to start with people online or the people here in the?
Let's start with the people online, Bob.
Okay, you can see what's here. So if you could please follow the routine name, business name, what your business does, how are you different, and describe yourself in one word.
Yeah, so I'm going to start to call on people. Let's start with Eric. Eric, are you there?
Oh, I'm here. I didn't realize you called on me right off the bat. I should have expected it. So do you want me to talk about my full-time gig, or do you want me to talk about my entrepreneurial endeavor?
Your choice.
Okay. Well, let's focus on what I do full-time, and that is I'm the director of the Illinois Small Business Development Center at the Turner Center for Entrepreneurship at Bradley University. And we help entrepreneurs take the first steps toward forming their entities, getting their businesses off the ground, and then we help them with growth and strategic management and so forth.
So how are you different at what you do compared to what the other universities do?
Well, number one is we have the Midwestern sensibility, right? We're hands-on. We want to partner with our clients. We're able to provide our services at no cost to the client in a confidential and what I like to think of as a collaborative manner.
Okay. And describe yourself in one word.
Curious.
Very good. Very good.
Okay, we'll move on to Chance.
Thanks for the introduction, Nate. Yeah, my name's Chance. My business is called Simply Count. Simply Count makes counting symbols on blueprints easy for construction estimators. 11 words, but the way that we differentiate ourselves is that our software is more intuitive to use and has advanced inferences compared to the leading industry standard algorithms.
Any one word?
Maverick or Maverick, however you like to pronounce it.
Awesome. Thanks, Chance. Next, we have Arnaud.
Hi, my name is Arnaud Dushime, and at the moment I'm still a student, but I'm working on a project called EcoBank, which is making affordable homes for using shipping containers. And we're different because we are planning to build these shipping containers using recycled material. And one word that would describe me would be uh, flexible or adventurous.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think I'm up.
Yes, Barbara.
Okay, my name is Barbara Kiptanian Ruth. I've started a small business, Happy Nomad Foods. I make an exceptional salsa matcha product for flavor cravers. And I think I differentiate myself with premium quality at a good value for the premium quality, not a discount product. And one word to describe myself would be one word for get her done, but one word for that. One word.
Who's next?
Davis.
All right. Hello, my name is Davis, and my company is not really solidified yet. I'm just starting out in the drone photography business. I'm kind of wanting to go into wedding photography, but as of now, I'm just doing any job I can. Currently, it's Larson Photography is the name. That's not really solidified yet, but that's what I'm going with for now.
So can I give a plug, Davis?
Yeah.
So for those who are who don't know Davis, go to peoriacoworking.space and go look at the drone photography that he did for the Nest co-working downstairs.
Okay.
Andrew showed me. It is awesome. It looks very futuristic. Fly through this building, upper
Yeah.
and lower levels. Very
Yeah,
cool
super
job.
awesome. Yeah. Thanks,
Davis, did you
Davis.
give us one word?
Yes, that's right. One word.
One word, I would say
Grabbing yourself, yeah.
creative.
Okay, next we have Kathy Brown.
Hi, Andrew and crew. I'm Kathy Brown. I'm the Director of Rural Development and Outreach for the Greater Peoria EDC. So I don't yet have a business. I have just started a small farm enterprise. So maybe we could count that. We're going to be starting a timber management plan off of this farmland that I purchased. So one word to describe me. Boy, I'm going to go with curious and collaborative.
Yeah. Good one. Thanks, Kathy. Kayla.
All right, there we go. I think I got my video. There we go. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
So my name is Kayla Miller, and I am the owner of KM Jewelry Design, which is custom jewelry design with a personal touch to fit any client's needs. And I would say my word is creative also.
Awesome. Next we have Michelle. Michelle, are you there? I wonder, Michelle, can you unmute yourself? All right, we'll keep going. Next, we have Sam Miller.
Hi, everybody. First and foremost, I'm Kayla's husband. Delighted to be on this call. And I'm Andrew's friend. I think I know a few others of you as well. So I'm excited about this. We got a chance to go last week, and I'm excited for the next installment, I guess you would say. So to answer the questions, I got on a minute late, so hopefully I got them right. But my name is Sam Miller. My business is Dreaming Made Simple. And let's see, how different than other businesses, I would say I have converged with price point and experience. I think, there are people like Nick Vujicic or different things. I guess I should explain to answer. So the first part that I should have answered first was Dreaming Made Simple equips motivated youth and families affected by disabilities to find a way to pursue vocational goals. And so the thing that makes me different at this point is the convergence of price and personal experience. Yeah, you could do consulting with Nick Vujicic or that sort of thing, but he'd be a whole lot more expensive. The one word to describe me at this point would be persistent.
Good.
Awesome, thank you. And now we'll move to the main room. Yeah, oh, okay. Michelle, can you speak? Because I saw you type something in the chat. Are you available to talk at the location where you can talk?
I think she said she was on mute.
Oh, she was on mute.
She couldn't
Okay.
have it.
Okay, got it. Okay, Nate, you want to read for Michelle?
Yeah, I'll read for Michelle. Hi, I'm Michelle Paplinsky. So Michelle has come up with, well, let me read this first to make sure I can say this correct. So her what is to provide a platform to easily count nutrition data by taking a picture of what you eat, provide side-by-side consumption values, lab values, and eventually calculated values, and provide support, recommendations, and telemedicine. How she's different is she's a medical technologist, clinical chemist, as an entrepreneur in the healthy lifestyle industry. Her platform is different from the competition. She hopes to collaborate with a health system to provide side-by-side consumption, lab, and calculated values. And her one word is tenaciously nice. I can attest to that.
Awesome. Okay, now it's your turn.
Now it's me. Hi, I'm Nate Domenighini. I'm director of G-Beta Distillery Labs. G-Beta Distillery Labs is a accelerator operating out of, you guessed it, the Distillery Labs. We're a 7-week free accelerator, no equity. Give me a talk, I guess. Let's see here. I don't really have a business that, the way we are different is we are a concierge accelerator. So that'd be the best way to put that. So you'll get one-on-one interaction with myself as well as the network. And then I guess the best way to describe myself, I'm going to jump on Eric saying this is the word that got me hired. So curious.
Karen.
Aaron Gigas. I work for OSF, Jump Innovation, but I have the opportunity to work with Nate and Andrew and many other great people helping get Distillery Labs up and running. So I'd say Distillery Labs is unique in that it is bringing ideas, people, and resources together for the betterment of the greater Peoria area. I'd rather not use the same one as Nate and Eric, but I want to do something a little more risky, a little more dangerous. I want people that know me, like John, Nate, and Andrew, to give one word that describes me.
It may not be the same word.
That's fine.
Oh, all right. Well, I have a lot of them for you.
Can you pick one?
Yeah, I'm going to pick one. Curious. No. I would certainly say you are incredibly approachable.
I would also say approachable, but also grounded.
Very good.
And empathetic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was going to say inquisitive. That's similar to curious, but thanks, guys. For doing that.
Kathy
Appreciate
Brown
it.
says systems thinker.
Thanks, Kathy.
There you go.
All right, over to you, Isaac.
Yeah, my name is Isaac Schaeffer. Me, along with some other partners, started a business called UR. It's a brand holding company. We have several different agencies, including residential real estate, health and wellness, as well as an investment business, which I am mostly involved in. What sets apart, especially our investment business, is that we connect high-level operators in different sectors of the market to investors, and that's basically what we do. We're a broker without being a broker. So that ultimately that's just a high-level view of what we do. Let's see. One word to describe myself would be steady.
Awesome. John.
Okay, I'm John Eagles, and I'm with Wild Routed Mercantile. And Wild Routed is a family-owned lifestyle brand that creates hand-drawn graphics inspired to connect humans to nature, giving 10% back to national parks and public lands. It's not 10 words, but saying that in 10 words is a difficult thing for sure. So, what makes us different? Well, it's our story, right? And the community that we're building is all built with unique people, with their own stories. So we're building a community of people with the idea that we have stories to share. And the graphics and such help remind us of that passion and that fight that we have. Okay. And then in addition to that, I mean, we work with companies that are eco-friendly and conscious of the environment, fair wage environments, not slave labor, as it were, I'll call it that. But yeah, so we work with ethical companies. We try to. That's it.
Awesome. Liz.
Sure. I can see myself. My name is Liz Whitten. I, with Bob, work for 12-5 Capital, so I'm here in support today. So I could describe the same business, I suppose, but we provide working capital to small businesses who are looking to grow. We hope to move them from getting through whatever they're getting through to thriving and moving on past us, actually. So I would say we're different from the competition in that we don't always just present a specific product to somebody. We work hard to make a creative solution that's going to work for both the business owner and work for us, because it's a complementary relationship typically. To describe myself in one word, I guess I would say I am a seeker. I'm a seeker of new, different, what else is out there, kind of.
I would say she's very creative too.
Okay.
Very creative.
Awesome. So my turn, I guess. So my name is Andrew Ngui, and I am the Director of Innovation and Startups at the Greater Peoria Economic Development Council. Part of this work is also a partnership with Distillery Labs, and so I'm privileged to be here with Bob and Aaron and Nate to be working together to bring you Biz Labs and more programs. We have a co-working space, and the co-working space is an excuse to build community, which is really what we're doing, so thank you for being here. Though I guess the one compound word that would be used to describe that I would use to describe myself would be a lifelong learner.
Very good.
World's greatest
Very good.
networker.
I appreciate everybody taking the time to do that. And I'm going to ask a big favor because I do have a cold, my head is stuffed, my ears are plugged, so please speak loud. Okay. What I would like to know before we get into the exercise, and I'll explain to you why I want to do this, is each of you take the time right now to just tell me, how did you go about setting your current pricing? What did you do? How did you go about doing it? Or did you just throw it out there and see what happened? So just give us a brief overview of what you did to determine what you're going to charge for your service or product. So we want to start with the same,
Well, I mean, yeah, like we can popcorn to.
or talk in general.
Yeah. So does anybody online want to share about your pricing mod? Like, how did you figure your pricing?
I'll jump in, Andrew.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I've struggled, to be honest with you, because I'm part of a couple professional organizations that on the whole are very good, but they've said, well, you know your price when you find it. Like, that's a very personal thing, and you come to know the right price that you're worth and that what you charge. So that's what they've said. I've also coupled that. Let's say I have a 3-part approach so far. I've looked to my professional organizations and I've kind of gotten that feedback. And then I've looked at the quote unquote experts in my field, and they're at the high end, obviously, of pricing. And then I've looked at some peers or friends of mine that do similar work and kind of look at their pricing. So I kind of have tried to factor those 3 components into my pricing, but I'm not real comfortable with any of that process, to be honest.
Okay.
Anyone,
I appreciate that.
Anyone else would like to share?
Sure, I will. This is Barbara. I'll jump in. So far, I don't have a finished product yet. I'm hoping I'm going to have that in the next 6 to 8 weeks. I heard a rule of thumb to try to make your final price about 3 times your manufacturing price. So that's it. And I'm just kind of using that as a benchmark right now and comparing similar premium products and trying to land someplace in the middle. That's it for now.
Okay.
But I really don't know what I'm doing.
Others?
I'd be happy to jump in. So my current price range starts at about $2,500, and that's based on cost of the product as well as supplies. So that would be the minimum range starting that I could possibly, in my 12 years experience, typically a fine jewelry custom design piece, you can't go any lower than that or you lose money on it. When you're getting into custom design, though, one of my questions has been is, for jewelers, they typically do about a 1.8 to a 2.5 markup. And I don't have overhead because I don't have any overhead because I'm not a brick and mortar. I sell basically online. But one of my questions in my mind is, do I pass that on to my client, or do I stand firm at more of the top range of keeping that at that 2.5 mark, because it is a very custom piece that's tailored directly to the person I'm making it for?
Okay.
I can go, I guess.
Go ahead.
So in my particular case with the co-working space, I inherited the price. I literally inherited the price. And so I've made changes since then, okay. It's been growing. So, yeah.
Very good.
Anyone
Any other comments?
Yeah.
We got to hear from John and Lee somehow on how they set their prices.
Yeah. Okay.
Who sets it? Who corrects it? How's that marital dynamic?
Sure. Yes. So essentially, we figure out what our costs are. Essentially, so we have products. We're talking shirts, stickers. What are those costs? Those initial, cost of goods sold. Double that for getting to a wholesale price, and then double that to get to a retail price. That's our baseline. But then we evaluated our competitors, the market that we're in, the other like-minded companies like ours, to see if that pricing then falls into line. And in some cases, because of the quantities that we are producing, our price was too high. So we had to bring that down and just take lower margins. And others, we could actually bump it up a little bit because our prices were lower than what the market was doing. So it's kind of a crapshoot. That's what we've done, based it off of our costs initially, and then took that from there and compared it to the market.
Okay, there was some methodology, at least, to what you're doing. And other people have looked at competition and saw what the competition was charging and so on. You inherited what your price was and stuff like that. Let me just talk in general about where I come from on pricing. If you're an entrepreneur and you're starting out, be it on your own or you're going to have employees or whatever, before you even start to set your price, you need to know what your costs are, your expenses are, and everything else. And that includes how much do you, as the owner of that business, need to make to survive in this world? You got to pay rent, you got to pay your mortgage, you got to buy food for your family or yourself. You may need clothing, may need a lot of other stuff, gas to get to your appointments, marketing, all that kind of stuff. You need to know that before you set your price, okay? Then, and we'll go through some of that when we get in here. But then you also need to know, okay, let's just say that my overhead's $1,000 a month, and I'm just making this very simple. My overhead's $1,000 a month, and that includes my salary, paying my suppliers, whatever else I have to do, rent my software, if it's software, things like that. And so if that's my overhead, and I set a price at $100 for whatever I'm doing, my service, my product, whatever, that means I have to sell 10 of those a month to hit that $1,000 or that break-even mark, okay? Then you got to sit back and say, can I do that? Is 10 a month realistic? Is 10 a month way low and I can really sell 20 a month? All right, that means you can adjust your price differently. Or are you only going to be able to sell 2 or 3 a month? So how do you make up that difference? Either raise the price up. Does that mean you price yourself out of the market? Or do you sell quality, certain skills, certain things as part of that product or service that you're given so that you can charge a lot more? Now, if it's to the point where you only can, if you know in your head and you believe in your head, you only can sell 5 items a month at $100, that's $500. You're always going to be $500 short. Okay. How are you going to make that up? You really have to think about that. So you either offer alternative products, you offer more than one product, you offer more than one service, but whatever you do, if in your head you're frustrated and said that's the best I'm going to be able to do, then you're probably not in the right business for yourself. You really are not. You should have taken the time to study who your audience is, what they're willing to do, what they're willing to pay, and if you know your audience, you know what the amount of how large your audience is or how small your audience is, that will help you with your pricing model. The other thing is, when you look at competition, and I heard people say, you know, well, we check the competition, here's what they're charging and so on. What are the flaws of that? I'll let you guys tell me what you think are the flaws of looking at your competition to judge your pricing. So some answers out there.
Your competition has a different value proposition than you do. The job that needs to be done may be different that they're offering than the job you're offering.
Other comments?
We have no idea what they are.
Go ahead.
Barbara,
Say it again.
can you repeat?
There's no way of knowing what their overhead is.
Exactly. Or how large they are, or how much they can sell. And a perfect example of that is you take a McDonald's who sells millions and millions of hamburgers. They only need to make a couple cents on a hamburger to make a living at it. Versus if you're going to go into the restaurant business and you're a sole proprietor in one restaurant and you want to sell a hamburger, your price for that hamburger has got to be a lot higher so you can cover your cost and everything else. So you can't just look at the competition and say, oh, McDonald's charges $1 for a hamburger, I guess I'm going to do that at my restaurant. Can't do that. Can't do that. You really need to take all those things into consideration. Okay. So don't use just competition. The key here, in my mind, there are numerous ways to price product. There are numerous ways. My way is to know what your total costs are and then build from that. Okay. I'm going to give you a good example. Because what we do, we fund accounts receivable at 12.5 Capital. About 5 years ago, I had a brand new company come to me. It was a trucking company. He came into some family money. He was able to go out and buy 3 semis. And he says, I'm starting my trucking company. I need you to help finance our receivables. So I had money for gas and pay my drivers and everything else. And he started out billing about $10,000 to $15,000 a month. Okay. So I forgot about him. I was on my job is sales, and I went on. About 6 or 7 months later, I'm looking at our reports, and he's billing $600,000 to $700,000 a month in 6 months. I call him up and I go, "Hey, congratulations! What's going on?" He says, "Things are just going gangbusters." He said, "I ended up having to buy 8 more trucks and hire more people, and we're just going. All right. 3 months later, he's filing for bankruptcy. I go, "What happened?" He says, "Well, I decided to undercut my competition. So I was getting all these loads to haul. Come to find out, I was losing money on every single load." So he just drove himself into bankruptcy because he didn't price his product right. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. Put it that way. Okay. You should not do that. Okay. What we're going to do is you should have a model in front of you, a worksheet. And let's walk through that and have everybody work on that right now. And what I want you to do is, if we do it that way and we have some good numbers, then what we'll do is at the end of you doing the worksheet, we'll talk about the price that you come up with on this worksheet. How does that match up with the price that you're charging now? And what can we do to help you get the price that you need based on the sales that you think you're going to have? Okay? So if everybody's got that worksheet, Andrew, you said they were all emailed?
Yeah, and it's right here. I'm sharing on the screen too.
Okay. First thing I have on here is what are your products or services that you're going to be pricing today? Put that in there. And then what do you think you can sell on a monthly basis? What are you projecting based on your skills and your knowledge of your industry and your business? What can you get as far as what do you think your sales revenues will be? Will it be $1,000, $10,000, $50,000? What do you think your sales revenue will be, or what does it have to be?
So I have a question, Bob. You pick one thing out of all the different things?
If you have multiple product, then I would do is take what's the average price if you put all those products together? And let's just say you know you're going to sell 10 at 100 of one thing, another 10 at 50 of another. Maybe your average price would be $75, something like that. Okay, but if you want to work on just one product, that's up to you. But if you're good at the numbers, then go put an average of what your total sales will be.
I think you should do it both ways. I think you should do you can do a business overall revenue per month and then back into your overhead, or break it by product.
I can't hear you.
I just said if he has multiple products, another choice would be to just do your overall revenue projection for the month.
Right.
And back into his overhead. Or if you're more of a product specific type business, it probably makes more sense to look at it on a product by product basis.
Nope, I agree.
I think it depends on your business.
Okay. If you know your competition's price or the range, put that in number 2 there. So if you know that your lowest competition price is $100, the highest is $300, you just put that range in there for now. Okay. Then if you're in the service industry, how many calls do you have to make? How many commitments do you have to have on a monthly basis that are going to pay you monthly over a 30-day period of time? Do you just need 2 clients? You need 10 clients? How many clients you need? If it's product, how many products, pieces of whatever you're selling needs to be sold in that month's period of time? Or do you hope to sell?
Does it include like customers I already have that are continuously
Yeah,
purchasing?
ongoing, because so if you already got 20 customers and you think you can add another 5, put 25 in there. If you think you got 20 and that's all you never have, put 20 in there. Everybody has different vendor cost, okay? I know somebody mentioned, you know, we have software for this. Is it proprietary software? Did you have to pay for that software? Do you have to rent it or whatever? Or you have supplier costs. Do you have to buy furniture? Do you have to buy wood products? Do you have to buy plastic resin? You know, whatever you do in your business, what are your costs to your supplier on a monthly basis to produce the number that you put down in number 3 to produce that many of the items or the service that you're going to provide?
Yeah, so in SimplyCount's case, we pay a one-time commercial license fee to the platform that we built the software and the algorithms on, and then we can distribute that to as many number of people that we'd like to at no additional cost. So it's just a fixed cost.
You pay that once a year?
Yes, once a year we pay that, and then that's
Well, just divide it up by 12 months.
Yeah.
Divide it up by 12 months. Number 5 will be your labor cost. In other words, how much do you have to have as a salary to make a living and survive and pay your mortgages, pay your rent? So if you can get by on $20,000 a year, you know, put that in there, figure that out on a monthly basis. What are your vendor costs on a monthly or your labor costs on a monthly basis? If you need, so let's just say I can live on $2,000 a month. So you put that in there. If you have employees though, and you're paying them, that's another $2,000 a month, let's say. So that's $4,000. Whatever your labor costs are to get to where you can provide the service that you say you're going to provide as a business. And then number 6 is monthly overhead. That's everything else, okay? That would be office rent, utilities, whatever you think you need in there, marketing cost, advertising, or not marketing and advertising, that's nuts, but you know, things that you need to be able to keep your business afloat. And you're going to have that cost every month, whether you have a sale or don't have a sale.
Insurance.
You're going to have to buy gas. You have to get to the grocery store. You have other stuff you have to do. So there's a lot of things that can go into that.
Would this also be if we're paying to access as paid users? So like we want to go out and reach to a kind of a broker who can provide us with customers who this is the right shoe fit for, kind of an acquisition cost for customers type deal, like paid users.
Yeah, I would put that in there.
Okay.
You can put it in there under marketing, which is not the next thing. How much are you going to pay to market yourself, advertise yourself? If you're going to be totally online, are you going to pay Google Extra to be at the top of the
These
chain?
are all monthly costs, correct?
Huh?
All monthly.
These are all monthly costs.
Where do you put, like, if I as a business owner put my time in, where do I put that?
You're going to figure that in your payroll. So
is that labor
you're basically
cost,
saying
or-
if I'm going to pay myself $2,000 a month, doesn't matter if I put in 40 hours or 50 hours, I'm going to get that. That's in your labor cost.
That's under labor cost, so
Yeah.
it includes either,
That includes the owner,
oh, okay, got it.
the owner of the business. And then if you have a very unique business, you may have costs that I didn't mention. Put those in under number 8.
Can you give examples of what are unique costs?
I'm trying. I didn't have any right off the top of my head, but you never know.
I would say that could include payments. So one thing that hasn't been mentioned here is if you have equipment that's specific to your business that you are making a payment on, for the purposes of developing a break even, you have to include the full cost of your payment.
So like a debt.
Could be,
So if you have a debt source out there that you're making payments to, I think that could count as something extra. If you have equipment rental costs, that's something that would be extra if you have to pay contract labor or consultants or extra help or things like that. That would maybe be something that wouldn't be necessarily considered overhead, and it's not really a cost of goods sold either. It's just kind of cost.
it could be, maybe you run a restaurant or something like that and you have uniforms. You want everybody to look the same, okay?
Quick question.
You provide those uniforms to your employees. You maybe even have their names engraved on them and all that kind of stuff. Those are all extra, but they're gonna be a one-time cost. They're not gonna be consistent kind of thing.
Somebody had a question?
Yeah, how about if we're using like AWS, which is like a faucet that you have like a garden hose. If you have more number of users who are logging onto the platform, the valve just turns more to allow more water. And if you have a lack of users and you turn it, you dial the faucet back. Would that go in that number 8 line item, or would that more go in cost of goods sold? Because it's hard to predict, because it's kind of like if you've got an on-demand Netflix or something where you've got a surge in
You
users.
know that it fluctuates quite a bit. I put an average of number 8.
Average number 8. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't put it in number 4 because it would be sort of a supplier service.
Well, you can, but whatever amount that you say, for an exercise like this, whatever amount of products you say you're gonna sell in number 3, you need to put a corresponding variable amount, however much it would cost for the faucet to be on, to service those number of people that you say in number 3. So your variable costs are lined up with how many you're saying that you would be looking at selling. That's the most important part when you're talking about variable costs here.
I did have a question actually too. So I do have a piece of equipment that I am paying off. How do you figure? So, I mean, it will be paid off within a year, but how do you figure that as an overhead cost?
You're paying a monthly fee on that right now?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that, for right now, whatever that monthly fee is, that would go under overhead. Until
Okay.
that changes, okay? So
Okay.
in 12 months, you're gonna subtract that from your overhead. You don't need it anymore, so.
Okay.
So add up,
Okay, Arnaud has a question.
So for labor cost, if you're like the only person working, so like you're a sole proprietor, for example, would your labor cost be like your monthly expenses for living, or would that be like how much?
exactly. If you're the sole employer
Yeah.
or employee, because it's your business, so you have to know, what do I need to survive? What do I need for my rent, my mortgage, my car, my groceries? If I have family members living with me and I gotta take care of them, if I need $2,000 a month to just survive, basic costs, that would go into labor. Okay, if it's 3,000, whatever that number is, because it's unique to each of you separately. So go ahead and add all those up and divide that number by number 3, which is the number of services or whatever you have to provide at any one time. And that number should come pretty close to what you're charging now for your services. And if it doesn't, then we should talk about that and why it doesn't. Has everybody done the math?
Yes.
Okay. How do those numbers compare to what you're currently charging?
Lower.
Are they better, lower, or higher?
Higher. Huh? You went lower?
So you're charging more than what the number came out?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Do you want to comment on that? Talk about it.
Yeah, so actually, I'm not basing this off of my current role, but my previous role in home care. So really, we in reality, the price that we were charging per hour for an hour of care compared to the competition, we would always charge $1 more than the competition. We did that because we believed in quality and yada, yada, yada. But ultimately, that cost, and after doing the math and pulling in all of our monthly costs, labor, everything together, dropped us probably about, I think it was about $5.50 cheaper by doing that math. So obviously, compared to breaking even, you understand, or you can kind of see, you know, all other expenses aside, you can kind of see the profitability of that business as well. So I thought that was kind of interesting, actually. This worksheet is really fantastic.
Which means that you could lose clients and still be okay.
Exactly. Not ideal, but
not ideal,
right.
But you know what your break even is.
You've got some flexibility there.
Okay, Bob, we have a question from Sam.
Excellent.
Can you explain again, what do you do if you have multiple services? Do you price each of the individual services, or what do you do?
It depends. What are they? What's the service? What are the services?
Sam, you want to take it?
Yeah, so I do coaching, I do speaking, I do training, like workshop type things. And then I also am just coming out with a book. So all of those are revenue streams.
Mm-hmm. Where are you anticipating the majority of your revenue coming from?
Well, it has been coming through speaking. Right now, with the COVID situation, I would actually say books come soon. But ultimately, my goal is to have the primary revenue come through coaching.
What I would try to figure out is, let's say you got 3 different products that you're offering, okay?
Yeah.
What percentage of income am I going to get off of each one? If one's going to be 70%, one's going to be 20, one's going to be 10, I would divide it up that way and use those numbers in that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Yep, you're
It
welcome.
sounds like multiple revenue streams is something that lots of people here
Yeah.
are contending with. You know, I have these different products, like these different things. And I think one important thing could be to do both a current situation, this is what I was just talking to him about, do a current situation, where am I at today, but then also do an ideal future situation as well, right? So if you're planning on growing one portion of your business, for example, if you want to get away from speaking, you want your books to cover more of it, you have to know what that future state is going to look like to even know if it's going to work. So it's okay to play around with what would a break-even price look like if I expected books to be my only revenue source? What would I have to do to get it to that point so that you know what you're working towards? But it's also very important to say, how am I going to feed myself today? You know, what is my current break-even with my current product mix? Because what you may find by evaluating the different products, and this happens all the time, is that the one that you don't really want to do anymore is the one that's paying all your bills. And so you have to be a little careful not to say, well, but I don't like that one as much, and put all your energy into this other one, and then be disappointed to find out that it isn't, you know, it just doesn't make you the kind of money that something else does. So anytime you have multiple products, Bob's right on. You have to look at what's your current mix, where are my different revenue streams coming from, what percentage of my overall revenue is that making up, and then you can apply it across all overhead costs, not variable costs though, just overhead. So your personal labor, for example, since you're working in all of these places. I would also challenge you when it comes to personal labor though, if you are doing multiple things, instead of saying, okay, well, 70% of my revenue comes from books, so I'm going to assign 70% of my personal cost to books, I would actually challenge you to say, if you spend 50 hours a week working, what percentage of your time are you spending on that portion of the business? Because you may find that you're spending 70% of, it's like the 80-20 rule. You might be spending 80% of your time on something that's only earning you 20%, and vice versa. And unless you realistically think you can get that back in line, again, you know, now I will say though, like side projects and passion projects and things, they take a lot of energy, right? You have to build them up. And it doesn't mean that they can't work or it can't be out of whack. But when you're looking at your break-even costs, you have to be honest about where your labor is going. You may find that a lot of your labor goes towards administrative, right? That your labor goes towards things that don't tie to a specific revenue, right? So for the woman who's making jewelry, maybe she only spends like, I don't know how many hours a week, but like a few hours a week actually making the jewelry, even though that's the whole thing you're doing. But there's a lot more to business than just the actual one. Or if you get up and going building these houses, you know, that percentage of actually building them might be very small, or you may have employees. To be honest, if you're running a business with employees, your employees are doing that actual part of it. You have a whole other job, which is running the company, and it takes up a lot of time. So if you have multiple different products, you do need to figure out a way to split the costs accordingly, and variable costs do need to be split differently than overhead costs to establish a true break-even.
I think Liz made a really good point though about multiple products and entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs say, I hate my job because I got to do all these little things here and there, and I really want to do this. Without realizing that if you're a business owner, you're still got to do all that other crap to get to the main thing that you like. And a perfect example of that is my son went and became a certified auto mechanic, and he started up his own business. Now, at 15 and 16, he took a Mitsubishi Mirage at 90 horsepower and souped it up to 400 horsepower, was racing in that Joliet and Raceway and all that kind of stuff. And he was going to start his garage, and all they were going to do is turbo, nitrous, and all that kind of stuff. And I go, you're not going to make any money at that. I said, once you open up that shop, you're going to be doing brake jobs, oil changes, and basic stuff like that. Oh, Dad, I'm not going to do that. Not going to do that. Hire 3 employees and everything else. Pretty soon, there's no income. I go, Jay, if you don't do the basics. He said, well, we hate that stuff, Dad. I says, that's what people bring their cars to you for. Changing the brakes, changing the oil, changing the windshield wipers, all that kind of stuff. You have to do the dirty work to be able to do the other work. Okay? And you need to understand that. But that's your main income. He made more money once he opened up for the oil changes and all the other stuff. He made enough money to pay the monthly bills versus waiting for somebody to walk in with a car that says, I need to put a nitrous thing onto it so I can race it. Because those only come around a few at a time. So, other people, what was the revelation that you found by doing the workshop or the workshop?
One of the key questions that I have is the number of units you sell is related to the number of sales people that you have trying to sell the product. And so I would want to bring on a bunch of salespeople before I sell any products. And so that changes my cost and everything.
That adds that to your labor cost.
Yes. But I'm having a hard time understanding how to set those, because I don't want to say a quota because that's almost a negative word, as whatever the expectation is for the number of seats that they sell each month. However, we offer a free seat for that first month. So that first month that they get the software, they actually get it for free. But we price right around the number that the worksheet kind of calculates for us. And so we're in the right price region, but now we need to be able to give that month for free, have the product demonstrate its value to that customer, and then in that following month, allow the salesman or saleswomen to close the deal. And so I have a hard time trying to forecast how many seats is actually realistic for them to sell, because we're not selling to everybody. We're selling to the key people who this brings substantial value to, and then moving the price north later on.
The way we've already done that with our salespeople is we know what a salesperson is going to cost us. So let's just say you say, I'm going to pay you $50,000 a base and so much in commission, and I'm going to give you an expense account. I'm going to pay your phone, give you a computer, all that kind of stuff. So let's just say that all adds up to $75,000 for a good salesperson. Okay. Depending on what's the price of your product, what do you charge?
$4,000 annually, $1,000 per quarter.
Okay. And what did monthly, that was roughly 300 and some odd,
$334 rounded up.
And did the worksheet come out to that?
It was $4,600, but that was with light numbers and heavy expenses. So I rather went light on the number that we're closing and heavy on the expenses. So even if I close one more deal, I'm at 3,870 for the year. So I'm in the ballpark. We're in the right ballpark for the pricing and whatnot.
So, but if you're gonna hire a salesperson, you know, all in, it's gonna cost me 75, 80,000. Let's just say it's $80,000. And your pricing is $4,000. So that means I gotta sell at least 20 of those over the year to pay for myself before you start making a dime more. Okay?
But
You
this is a
understand that?
recurring service. This is a recurring service. This is
Yeah.
not a one-time sell.
I understand,
So-
but you still gotta come work your way up to get into that $80,000 in total sales per month or in annual revenue. Then anything they sell above and beyond that is when that salesperson is starting to pay for themselves and to start benefiting you as a business. Okay? So you gotta say in your mind, is that possible? If I bring on a salesperson, can we add 20 new businesses minimum per year so that he's a wash, that salesperson's a wash for me? Now, if he does 25, is that sufficient to make it worthwhile to have him on board? Do you want 30 so that you know that you're going to be making a few extra dollars to go to the bottom line of the business so that you can start looking for another salesperson if it keeps going on and on?
And that's the other point with salespeople as well, is that you always have to figure that there's going to be a staggering. So a salesperson, let's say you need the salesperson in his example to sell 20 a year, right? So they need to close a couple new businesses every month to be paying for themselves at the very least, let alone making any money for your company. Well, they're not going to the first month that you hire them. They just probably aren't unless they get lucky, right? They're not going to start today and sell one tomorrow. So you know that, let's say you're paying them that $80,000. At least a quarter, 3 months of it is just your initial investment into having that person on board. You aren't going to get that type of return. So I would say for at least the first 6 months, you need to have that amount almost like saved up to invest in that person before that person's going to give back to you. So now that $80,000 that they have to cover really is $120,000 before we start getting ahead, because you're putting an outlay into them before you're receiving back. And so that's why it's hardly ever going to be possible, or you won't ever have the capital to just go hire 6 salespeople at one time, because you'll have to put so much money out into them before you ever start seeing any of the sales come back. It has to be a staggering type. You have to be the main salesperson first, right? Then you start closing. Those people are recurring customers. So now hopefully that money is coming in on its own. Then you have time to train someone. They start bringing in a few people, and it has to be kind of like a staggering growth, which is what you're asking essentially when you're asking about the 1 month lag, because that's what your original question was. You said they don't pay for the first month. So how do I calculate, that customer isn't paying? First off, over time, you're going to learn how many people don't sign up after they get the month, right? So you are going to have a percentage that try it for a month and then say, no, thank you. So you need, over time, I don't know what that percentage will be. Hopefully it's 0, but I'm sorry, I doubt it. Because lots of people sign up for free trials and then cancel. So once you get a feel for, okay, generally I'm only going to be able to keep X number, then you can start to build what I would call like a funnel, right? So now you know, okay, so instead of my salespeople bringing in 2 every month, they really need to bring in 4 because only half of them stay. So they need to bring in 4 every month because only half of them stay. And in order to bring in 4 deals, they need to talk to 20 people or whatever. And then you can start to build your funnel up to know how many people do salespeople need to even be contacting to get a certain number of deals closed. And again, then it's going to be a funnel, and then the funnel starts over with each new salesperson, and hopefully they just all overlap. The nice thing about a recurring service is that then you can have a separate focus on retention, which is going to be huge for a business like yours. If you finally got them, how do you keep them? But does that answer your question a little bit on the lag? Because you are correct that it's going to be difficult to know based on that first month. I would actually completely ignore the first month and go based on who actually pays in the second month.
Okay.
Until you know more about what percentage stays.
Yeah, I didn't know what my conversion rate is for the number of people who are actually buying the service.
Right.
And
So
the goal is
your
to
numbers
get a
have to be
network.
based on who stayed, not who tries it. Your numbers need to all be based on, so when it's saying number per month, number of people who have already committed and who are staying.
Correct. Yes. And that's kind of what I was thinking. What I was struggling with was trying to figure out how to base the commission with the sales, because in technology sales, I want the salespeople to be able to make commission off of the product, but then there's also needs to be people dedicated just to retaining the current business. And so from what I've read online, which may be wrong, because I just have to take it with a grain of salt, is that the people who are selling new business get like a roughly between 3 and 12% commission, and then the people who are just getting the recurring revenue is a completely different rate. Is that how normally SaaS businesses operate? This is something out of my wheelhouse, so I'm looking for experts to try to help navigate these type of
every industry is different
Yeah,
on how they
that's
treat their
probably industry
salespeople.
specific, because-
Every industry is so different when it comes to salespeople. Some people just play a flat, we're gonna pay you $100,000 a year. Here's what we expect. You hit that, you have a job next year. You don't hit that, you're probably gonna be let go, okay? Other people say, I'm gonna give you a lower base, but you can make as much as you want because I'm gonna give you a commission. And the more you sell, the more you make. It's that simple. And they'll go at the end of the year, well, where's my raise? Well, you give yourself a raise. You know, you don't get a raise. Your base is there just to help you out on the slow months. But commission is where you have to excel and make the sales. And every salesperson, especially new ones, you have to train them to, it's not rocket science. I don't care what you're selling. You have to have contacts. You have to get out there. You got to meet people. You got to meet referral sources. You got to build a network. That's how sales work. Okay. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Even if you're in the restaurant business, you have to advertise yourself. So you want word of mouth. So you get your customers to say, hey, did you enjoy your meal? Tell you what, you bring in 2 or 3 more customers and I'll give you a free dessert next time or whatever. It's still money out of your pocket, but it's a way to build your business. Okay. There's a lot of ways to be innovative and do that. But as far as a formula on what works best for your industry, I would look at other people that are in your industry and what they're doing and what they're paying their salespeople and how they're paying it, if you can find that out. And then you'll have some parameters to go by. And that, the big difference is, are you going to hire from scratch and hire somebody brand new and you're going to train them? Or you want a pro, somebody that already knows what they're doing and can get started running a lot quicker, a lot faster.
Awesome, thank you. Barbara, you had a question?
Yes, I do. In pricing, and this formula is great. It's helpful. So I see my break-even point is $15 if I have 600 units. It's $10.33 if I have 1,200 units. I'm not going to sell 600 units my first month. I probably won't. I would love to. But in looking at something with a consumer product, how many months, assuming I can self-fund this, bootstrap this as I'm growing, how many months is considered a healthy that you're not breaking even yet?
That is totally an individual choice. I've seen businesses go 4 or 5 years without breaking even. Okay.
Yeah.
But they have deep pockets.
Yeah.
And they can afford that, and they don't have bank lines of credit because the banker is going to say, we can't fund you because you're at a loss. Okay.
Right.
But they have deep pockets either from family members, so their previous job, or they tapped into their 401k and they took all the money out of it, and they're using those funds to fund themselves and depleting their resources. How quickly do you want to deplete your resources, or for how long before you say, hey, I better go get a real job? Now, again, is selling 600 a month realistic 6 months from now? Only you will know that.
Yeah. Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
I think the answer to that question, I mean, yes, it definitely is a personal risk tolerance question, right? So how many months are you willing to look at negative before you aren't willing to do that anymore? But I think what Bob said at the end is actually the answer is it possible to get this right side, right? So after a few months, right now you're trying your best to understand the marketplace, you're trying your best to understand what demand might look like, but of course it's hard to know, right? So you're gonna say, I'm gonna just do my best and put my product out there. But after a few months, you will get a better feel for what the marketplace is or is not. And then you do have to have the thing, okay, if I can't sell this, then what do I do, right? If I can't sell $1,200 a month, so this doesn't break even, your only choice is to, like he was saying earlier, make it cheaper somehow. How are you going to make it cheaper, right? Sell a different product that might have a better margin to offset your one that doesn't. Advertise yourself in a different way, to do something different, right? And so if you get more information every month of business, you get more information, and you can't create a future picture that looks like it works, then something has to change. Because just grinding at your same spot when the future picture isn't going to work doesn't make it work. You can't just like persevere yourself through a math problem that doesn't work. So if your costs will never be lower than the price that you can sell it for, like it's a math problem that can't be solved by heart and can't be solved by anything other than it's just the market, it doesn't work. So I think you have to say, is the fact I'm not breaking even a problem that will solve itself over time? Or is this a math problem that has a negative answer?
And I think that's where upfront preparation is key. A lot of you people a lot of entrepreneurs do something because they have a hobby or an interest, or they believe they have the skills to do that. Okay. But when they actually get down to that, is what did I do to investigate who my audience is going to be? What are they willing to pay? Are my skills what they're looking for? Is my product what they're looking for? Is there too much competition out there? Or is there if there's very little competition, I can really alter my price quite a bit and maybe sell less for a higher price. But if you don't do the research up front, if you don't do a business plan, if you don't do set up your business properly, and let's just say that you have a great idea, but you don't have any sales skills, you got a couple choices. You can either hire a salesperson like we just talked about, and that means you're going to have to sell more product, or you're going to have to go and teach yourself how to sell and how to market and how to network. And I don't want to sell. I don't. And they'll go, well, if you don't want to sell, who's going to sell it for you? Somebody has to do the work. Okay. You get great ideas are great, but if they just sit there on the table and nobody else knows about them, it doesn't help you.
So Bob, I'm gonna say something controversial, which is which is we lie to ourselves. We lie to ourselves with the numbers, and we think of these numbers as like, oh yeah, I can make it happen. I'll fake it till I make it. What do you have to say about that?
If you're kidding yourself, basically, is what you're doing. If you're kidding yourself, you're hurting yourself and you're hurting your loved ones and everybody else around you. Okay. Nobody knows what you put on this worksheet. So whatever you put down there, I hope they were realistic numbers, and you can take a look at that. Take a look into your heart, look into your head, and say, what am I going to do with these numbers, and how am I going to change my behavior so that I can meet my break-even numbers, and how quickly can I do that? You got resources here in this room that are willing to help you do that. Okay, that's why they're here. All right, and they can give you great direction. They can give you tips. They have workshops every week, as I said, on learning how to sell, how to price.
And then we more with Bob and Liz.
But just saying I'm going to open up my own business and then sitting there waiting for the phone to ring does not happen these days. Even if you have an online presence, if you have a website, if people don't know about your website, what good is it? Okay. If people don't need your product, they're not going to Google widgets if they don't need it. Okay. You got to make sure you have a product that is necessary. And apparently you thought it was a necessary need or want of the general public, or you would have never formed a business. So you should get out there and find out who's your audience and make sure that they can buy from you at a reasonable price.
Do we have any more questions online?
That's a question.
Oh, Nate has a question.
I guess kind of asking on behalf of future entrepreneurs or anybody that's here. So obviously selling your service or your products, you want to be aggressive in today's environment as possible, within reason. So, and Chance, I don't want to use you as an example, but if you're going out and you want to capture you want to capture as many sales as possible. You want to sell as many seats as possible. You want to have enough salespeople right up front. However, unless you've been able to establish investments or raise capital, what are some great options for entrepreneurs? I mean, would this be a place where 12.5 Capital comes into play to say, hey, invoice based might work early on, or what's the best reason, or what's the best thought there?
As most of you probably found out, most banks are not going to work with brand new businesses, entrepreneurs. That most banks want 2 years worth of financials, tax statements, good credit, and so on. 12.5 is what's known in our industry as an alternative lender. Okay, we base our credit decisions on collateral more so than credit and how successful your business is. So if you're selling business to business or business to government, so perfect example is all these PPE supplies. People are selling masks and gowns and test kits and that to government agencies, schools, and so on. Who have never done that before, okay? But they come to us to fund those products so they can get them over here to sell to their end user, their end customer, okay? The one example I like to use, we have a real small client. They're an MBE, WBE type business who they went online and put bids in on Illinois government contracts and federal contracts, and they won an Illinois contract to provide trash bags and cellophane to the commissaries of the prisons within the state of Illinois. Person didn't know the first thing about plastic wrap, trash bags, where to get it, any of that stuff. Nor did she know how to pay for it because she had no lines of credit and very little income. Okay, they came to us. We found her a supplier. The supplier says, "I'll give you 20-day terms." The state of Illinois agreed to pay her in 75 days. Okay, so we funded those invoices, and we paid the supplier, and the state ended up paying us, and then we gave our client the difference. That's $5,000 a month forever. She's never done another piece of business. Okay. So, but if you have a product out there and you got a purchase order, we can fund purchase orders. We can help you with funding your receivables so that you don't have to wait 30, 40, 50, 60 days to get paid. You got money right away so that you can turn that around and pay yourselves, pay your suppliers, stuff like that. There are a lot of businesses like us out there. There are businesses that'll buy you machinery and equipment with no credit because you're going to have a down payment of some type, because they're going to take what they call forced sale value. So they'll say, here's a piece of equipment that costs $10,000. If you don't pay me and I have to take that back and I can put it on the market and get $6,000 on it, that's what I'm going to give you. So you got to come up with the difference to get that piece of equipment. Okay. But there are a lot of high risk lenders out there, and that's what we call ourselves. We're a high risk lender because we're taking a chance on you. And we believe in what you're saying is that you can do this and you're gonna be successful at it. So we want to help you get to that point where you are successful at it. Okay.
Do you want to talk about the other part about how you actually do the due diligence of the suppliers too? Because I think that's really cool.
Here's how we help new businesses a lot, because you guys will make a sale. Let's just say that you walk into XYZ company and say, "Oh, I love what you're doing. I'll take $10,000 worth." You walk out the door, you're happy as pie and everything else. You provide the service, you provide the goods, and then 90 days later, you're calling, "When am I going to get paid?" And you don't get paid. It's not a good sale if you don't get money back. Our job, you come to me and go, "Hey, Bob, I just got a $10,000 contract for XYZ. Will you help me with this?" We'll run credit on them. We'll say, "Yep, they're a good credit. We'll fund that invoice. We'll give you your money up front. You don't have to wait for payment." Or we'll come back to you and say, "You know what? This is a marginal credit. What I would suggest is you go and ask them for 20% down or 30% down. We'll fund the difference." And you can tell them that, "Hey, I checked your credit and you're so on the credit market scale." Or we'll come back to you and say, "Do not sell to these people. Okay, they have litigation going on. You're the 10th supplier of this same product to them. that they haven't paid the other 9, you know? So if you want to sell to them, that's you making that business decision, but we're not going to fund that. But at least we give you information that you can use to make a good sale or make a questionable sale or make no sale at all. But you're better off making no sale at all and having $10,000 of your own money out the door and never seeing it again.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing we'll do is a lot of suppliers, if they're a good quality, high-end supplier, they're not going to ask you for upfront money. Okay. If they do, sometimes they're weak and they need your money so they can buy their supplies to make your goods. That's not always a good thing. Okay. So we'll run, if we're going to do a purchase order funding, you come to us and say, hey, John Doe wants me to put down $5,000 up front before he'll produce my goods. Now I'm not going to see anything for 45 days. You got $5,000 out the door for 45 days and you may or may not get your product. You don't know that. We've had suppliers take our client's money and build somebody else's product that he was behind on. Okay, now he's behind on your product. All right, so we'll run and check out the suppliers and we'll use 12.5's credit to get you credit. We'll offer what we call a vendor assurance program to the supplier and say, hey, Mr. Supplier, you have the wherewithal to do this. Provide the product, provide the goods. And then once your product is sent to our client and he ships it off and has an invoice, when we fund that invoice, you get paid first, Mr. Supplier. Our client gets the difference. And those have been working well for us as well. So there's a lot of creative ways to get financing to help yourself. Then there's angels and angel investors like you guys know about, or other people that want part of the equity. We don't take any equity. So if you're concerned about that, and you want to keep 100% of your equity, you'd use somebody like us to do that for you. But if you don't mind giving up equity, and you'd rather take on an investor who can give you great advice as well, they're good too.
Awesome.
And we've had investors come to us and say, hey, Bob, we've invested in this company and it's not going the way we want it to. And we're going to put new management in, but we don't want to put any more money in. So we start helping us with working capital. And we've had investors do that for us as well.
Awesome. Eric, do you want to talk about starting your business in Illinois class?
Sure. Happy to let everybody know that 2 times a month, the Small Business Development Center at Bradley University offers a workshop that's 2 hours in length, but it's a lot of the nuts and bolts ingredients for how to talk about choosing a name, establishing a web presence, steps toward organizing and forming the business entity under which you want to operate in the state of Illinois, and also some considerations in regard to things you should be aware of that maybe you are not if you've not operated a business in the state of Illinois before. So we talk about things related to understanding the importance of insurance, of unemployment insurance, workers' compensation, understanding about record keeping, tax planning, and basically building a team of experts that you can have in your corner. One of the things that was really crucial here that Bob mentioned is the fact that most people get into business with the idea and a love and a passion for the project or the work or the tasks that they want to produce, right? Those widgets that he talked about, or perhaps the clientele that they're hoping to serve. What gets lost in the excitement over that is that they probably didn't go into business because they want to become an expert in legal jargon, record keeping, tax planning, and workers' comp and unemployment insurance, right? And payroll. So realizing that it's crucial to be aware of those things, but understanding that it's great to understand where your strengths and your passions lie. And like Liz was saying, right, spend your effort on those things that return the most on your particular expertise, and then hire the rest out, right? So working on those types of things. So we talk a lot about those concepts and lay some of that foundation in those workshops. So we're very happy to have people join into those, and feel free, of course, to reach out at illinoisSBDC@bradley.edu or find our website online.
Thank you. And 12.5 does a lot of work with small business development centers around the state and the nation. We get a lot of referrals from those guys on startups and stuff like that. So they trust us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and people should know Elizabeth Whitten is one of the people in local finance that I have had tremendous respect for ages. And I also want to let everybody know that every time I talk to Bob, I learn something new. So this is great stuff.
Awesome.
Two websites I would recommend to any entrepreneur to use, at least I still use them and I've been around for a long time. I love HubSpot. Is everybody aware of HubSpot.com? They do a great job 5 days a week, give you lots of great ideas on how to use different things and what's going on, how to use social media, what's the best time to email, how to set up an email, all those kinds of things. The other one I love every day is Darren Daly. I don't know if people use him or not use him.
What is the website?
Darren Daly.
Okay.
He gives a little 3-minute presentation every morning about motivation and it's DARREN and then DALEY, I believe it is. If you can subscribe to that. He has a lot of other stuff that people pay for, but he's great at giving people a start every morning. He comes on, you get an email from him at 7 o'clock in the morning. He does a great job.
Cool. Awesome. Aaron, you want to go?
Sure. So we have these ongoing series of Biz Labs through many great partners like yourself. And next week, I believe, is Dee Ingalls, John's wonderful, lovely wife. She's going to be talking about sustainable packaging and how that helps your business. So it's not just a cool thing to do. It actually helps your business as well as helping the environment. So we can't wait to hear more about that from her. I heard about HubSpot. I heard some other things. We're always looking for new topics that we can help entrepreneurs and help bring that knowledge and information to them, as well as new partners to help bring that subject matter expertise. Would also want to mention that 1 week from Thursday, so this is next week, Thursday night, we have a really great opportunity to help draw the Peoria area community together, to draw them together for STEAM. So science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Thank you. So we're bringing that world together with the diversity, equity, and inclusion. So trying to advance opportunities for everyone in these highly, highly desirable, highly needed areas of STEAM. So next Thursday night, 5 o'clock at CSC Software, which is just straight down the street from here. We're going to have Renee Gorell, who's the president of CSC Software, speaking about her experience as a female in technology. We also have Lynette Fernandez from Bradley, who's the most recent hire for video game design. Bradley has the top 10 program in the country for video game design. She's going to speak about her experience as a coder, as a female minority. And she is a fireball of energy. Can't wait to get these two women paired together. And then thirdly, we have Jyoti Patel with Ice Team Studios, and she has her own business teaching kids how to do programming, how to do robotics. And so she has a for-profit model, but she provides scholarships to disadvantaged youth. So she is going to speak to us, as well as bring her students with them to do kind of a show and tell. So it's going to be a phenomenal, fantastic experience. I'm really, really excited. It caps off with the tour of CSE. So if you don't know CSE, they do many different things, including the Caterpillar simulators. So if you've been to the Cat Museum and you've driven the simulators, they're the ones providing the coding technology and everything to provide that experience. So really, really great organization in Peoria. Obviously, we need more coders, more people in technology, more people in STEAM, and we need to help those in the DEI world. So please reach out to your community members, the people that would want to be a part of it, would not want to miss out. It's all across social media. Huge thanks to both Nate and Andrew for helping get that social media post and email blast out to everybody. But in our social media world, what still works better than anything else, I am convinced, is still the personal invitation, the personal connection, the word of mouth. So be intentional, be deliberate, reach out to people between now and then, sooner than later, so they can block that off on their calendar. Next Thursday night, 5 o'clock doors open, 5:30 start.
And where's that?
CSE, straight down the street.
So are we meeting
The old Maxim building.
at the Broadway Deli, or?
Yeah, you can come into the deli, there's a street entrance, or you can come in through CSE's parking lot. Either entrance will work. They are interconnected buildings.
Got to make sure we get on your mailing list so we get this information on a regular basis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bob, any last thoughts or comments?
No, I think it's very important that you know your overhead costs. I really do. You need to know what you need to do to survive in this world, and then build your business around that. You know, that's how you get started. Like Liz said, you don't want to be spinning your wheels 6 months down the road. You depleted your savings account, you depleted your 401k, and now you're going to have to go find a real job just so you can eat and pay your car bills and your rent and stuff like that. You don't want to be cautious, but you want to be realistic, okay, and really know what you're getting yourself into when you get started here.
It's another Biz Labs topic. As we were talking through tonight, I was thinking of like lessons learned from past current entrepreneurs, what they would have done differently had they known fill in the blank. Heard that come up a couple of times to say like, yeah, there's the hard knocks way of learning, trial and error, and you can do it, but boy, that can be tens of thousands or more dollars and really painful. Why not learn from some seasoned entrepreneurs about how to better plan and grow your business?
We hear all the time that failure is a good thing, you know, because if you fail, you learn a lot of lessons, but it's also very costly sometimes. Yeah. So you only want to fail a couple times before you hit the right.
Minimize those losses, costly losses.
Do we have any last comments online? Oh, Sam, your hand's up.
Yeah, I hesitate to ask because I don't want to muddy the water, and I know we're winding down. So I don't, this isn't a burning question that I have to have, but I'd just be curious for your perspective on how to sell the intangible or the invisible versus the tangible. Obviously, I mean, the worksheet's very helpful, but I'm thinking what my consumers can say in terms of the intangibles and the invisible.
Intangibles are a lot harder to sell than hardcore, you know, things that people can see. So it takes a special sales technique to do that. It really does. And they got to have a great vocabulary. They got to be able to paint a picture of what you're going to get out of this. And those take special people to do that. To really do, to sell an intangible. You know, we sell money, that's intangible to a lot of people, but they appreciate it. So.
Well, thank you, Bob, for your time
Thank you.
tonight. Thanks,
And Liz.
for sharing.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right, well, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Sustainable packaging.
Stay safe.
One question.
Yep.
Thank you.
So Bob, when I go to talk to customers, that number that I came up with tonight with the formula that you provided us, that formula needs to work with their numbers, because when I go to talk to them, I need to understand how many labor hours are they spending doing this job? What does it cost them per hour? And then in how many jobs does the system pay for itself? And to do the math. That is one of the most important things, is because that's what sells a product is being able to make the math work for the clients and then make the client look like the smart guy to their boss in order to sell the product. Because ultimately I'm trying to get executive sponsorship, but I have to make the math work for them and their company. And with construction companies, it varies for every company. And this is something that we can follow up on. It's just my last thing I want to say is do the math.
Do the math.
Bob, you want to share your email?
Okay, my email is bob@12, the word 5, FIVE.com. So bob@12FIVE.com.
You're going to get lots of emails, Bob.
Got it. Thank you.
One thing, the key thing in sales is there's a lot of gateway people or gatekeepers and stuff like that. Make sure you're talking to the decision maker for whatever you're selling. Okay, so many entrepreneurs waste their time talking to gatekeepers and they don't talk to the owner of the company or the president or the CFO or who can make the final decision. And make sure that that's who you're talking to. And if you're not, then you need to pass a quote. You got to be polite about it, but say, hey, do you mind bringing in the other people? I don't want to have to repeat myself 3 times down the road to make a decision here. Can you bring in the other people that are key to this decision? So,
Thank you for that advice,
Yep.
Bob. I appreciate it. I'll follow up via email.
thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you the next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, thank you very much.